Hi, Amy.
Hello, everyone. As you're coming in, you most likely are muted right away on entry. Thank you
Hi.
for joining us. We'll get started soon. It's great to see the bus getting full. 3 to a seat, it's going to be. I think we might be over the 88 passenger maximum today. We're happy to have you all on board, squishing in.
Were we supposed to bring our own bus?
Yeah, there you go.
I see a bus.
There's a few of us. It's great to see so many people joining us. And I'm sure more people will along the way. It's 4 o'clock and we'll be getting started soon. It's great to see so many faces joining us. 3 pages of faces. So if you have us right now on gallery view, you can click the side button here, going back and forth to see all the other people joining us.
Never in my life have I sat this close to the front of the bus in supervision.
My bus was a little crazy, so I had to get off it.
Mimi.
How you doing? Hi, Mimi.
Hi, Carol. Good to see you.
See you.
Things holding up. Are you working from home or the office?
Home.
Good.
Oh my goodness. Just scanning, there's a lot of people on the bus.
Pretty well behaved too.
Wow. 68?
That's amazing. We'll wait just another minute and then we'll get started.
Daniel, Jerry wasn't really sure that was you.
Yeah, something about the filter. I don't know. Ads tend to
Is that what it is?
I've only made that joke about 60 times in the last 3 weeks.
How cute.
Good to see you, Boys and Girls Club. Have you been busy?
No. Sitting around.
Well, I think we'll get started then. So I just want to thank you all for joining us on the bus. This is our first virtual bus tour. United Way and Central Minnesota Community Foundation have been hosting the bus tours twice a year for over 3 years now. And we're excited to offer this first bus trip through Zoom. Our goal is to share with you, our donors, the challenges we face as a community and the nonprofit organizations who are meeting those challenges. These nonprofits could not accomplish their work without your support, whether it be you're serving as a board member, providing financial or other resources, or giving of your time as a volunteer. Now more than ever, we as a community must come together to support each other. Today we have 4 nonprofits that we will be showcasing. Each of these nonprofits received a grant from either CMCF or United Way through our response and relief funds. CMCF's was seeded with $60,000 of our own money, and it continues to grow through gifts from donors and 2 generous grants from the Minnesota Council of Foundations. Daniel?
Thank you. It's truly heartwarming, especially on this Monday, which is another strange Monday to dive into, to see all of you logged on here, to see so many familiar faces and so many great teammates in our community. I want to give a special shout out to the longtime supporters of United Way and the Community Foundation, and welcome those of you that are joining us for the first time. And a very special thanks to those of you who have already given to our relief funds. At United Way, the board of directors rapidly mobilized to seed our relief fund with $25,000 from our reserves. Almost overnight, we received a very generous contribution from the Morgan Family Foundation and from many individuals in our community. To date, we have given out over $100,000 in response funds. The needs keep developing, and today we're here to show you how important those dollars are. As Carol said, now more than ever, the community needs our support, yours and mine, and I'm so happy for the teamwork we have between our organizations. In addition, the Community Foundation, United Way, and the Initiative Foundation are sitting on each other's committees. We're working together, making sure the dollars are spread as far and as evenly as possible. Our goal today is to show you how important those dollars are right now in the community.
So today we're going to focus on 2 well-known nonprofits that serve our region, the Boys and Girls Club and Catholic Charities, and 2 smaller but important nonprofits, the Good Samaritan Fund and Neighbors to Friends. I think you'll be impressed with the work each are doing to address the needs caused by COVID-19.
Okay, as we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. This is all new to us, and we're excited about the technology that allows us to connect. We'll do our best to spotlight speakers, but we also encourage you to turn on speaker view up here on the corner of your screen. It's the easiest way to track who's talking. In this corner, you'll see interactive polls before each program to test your knowledge of the community response to the emergency. Answers will arise during our tour. Or it could be right in the middle. Okay, we want your questions too, so please type them into the chat, and time permitting, we'll address them after each visit or at the end of our hour. So, for now, please keep your hands inside the windows. If you didn't throw out your gum already, please keep it in your mouth and remember not to reach underneath the seats. Our first stop is the Boys and Girls Club on the south side of St. Cloud. And we're going to see a little video from the Boys and Girls Club, followed by a Q&A with Carol and leadership of the Boys and Girls Club staff.
Do whatever it takes to give every kid a chance at a great future. Now we're facing an unprecedented challenge, and while we may not all be able to come together in the same way that we're used to, in many ways we're coming together like never before, because we mean what we say when we say Boys and Girls Club does whatever it takes to build great futures. When the coronavirus hit our home state and Governor Walz announced the statewide closure of schools, we partnered with our local school districts to launch Boys and Girls Club's Emergency Services Childcare Program. The next morning, we opened 3 sites to serve youth in grades K through 6 at Madison Elementary in the St. Cloud School District, at Mississippi Heights in the Sauk Rapids School District, and at Pine Meadow in the Sartell St. Stephen School District. Boys and Girls Club staff are working alongside school paraprofessionals to provide fun, engaging programs and distance learning curriculum to ensure academic success when kids can't be in the classroom with their teachers. Boys and Girls Club is doing whatever it takes to curb hunger for kids during the COVID-19 crisis. We are so thankful that our schools are meeting kids' needs when it comes to breakfast and lunch during the school week. But nearly 100% of kids served by Boys and Girls Club are food insecure, and the need for an afternoon snack and dinner is great. Therefore, club staff started a grab-and-go mobile meal distribution program for families at the South Side, Roosevelt, and East Side clubs on Mondays and Thursdays, providing supersized snacks and dinners 7 days a week. We are providing an estimated 4,500 meals per week during the school closure. Club professionals are doing whatever it takes to connect with youth during the pandemic. This means scheduling weekly Zoom meetings to play games like Would You Rather with their kids, making phone calls to check up on you, and even building a virtual club filled with videos, activities, and challenges designed to keep kids busy and connected, even when they're at home. Yes, the world is a different place right now, but Boys and Girls Club is still coming together with great partners to meet the needs of the young people in our community. Because right now, whatever it takes means supporting our front lines by providing a safe place for their children, ensuring they continue to move forward in their education, getting the meals out to kids in need, and connecting with kids virtually. Boys and Girls Club does whatever it takes to bring hope to this community.
Wow. I'm not just astounded by the response to the Boys and Girls Club, I'm astounded how well they did that video in such short time. Okay,
Absolutely.
everybody, please keep track of your partner, keep holding hands. We're gonna head into the gym and we're gonna have a Q&A that Carol's gonna lead with Mary Swingle, President and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, and her staff, Deb Nemesis, Amy Rinrath, and Jerry Bechtold. Thank you so much for your swift and efficient response, Boys and Girls Club.
Absolutely. What a great video. Mary, when you got the call that schools were closing on that Sunday evening, tell us a little bit about the process you went through to prepare for the club's new role in helping the community.
Well, when we heard from the superintendents, their first question was, are you up for this? And I said, absolutely. So we are committed to supporting our youth in our community in good times and in challenging times. So we immediately got on the phone, obviously virtually, with the leadership team and our board, talked about it. Everyone was like, yep, we need to do whatever we can do. It's our mission to do whatever it takes. And so we jumped on board. We quickly rallied the entire team. Jerry is here with me. So we rallied all of our program staff, our entire staff, and said, this is the task at hand. And everybody jumped on board and said, let's go for it when we're going to figure it out.
So yeah, it was like 2:30 on Sunday when we got the group together, and by 6 o'clock the next morning, we had a team of staff ready to serve as many kids as needed to come in the door. We got word out, registration started coming in Sunday. They could sign up and attend that morning, any morning that they actually need care, they can just come in. And then we worked with the school district. Paris started within a week at the sites to help staff it. And now we're really working with the social distancing, keeping kids in small groups, keeping them in the same group. So our teams are no bigger than 10, and that's including all the adults in that area as well. So it's really been a fun learning experience.
We, of course, safety is always our priority. And so immediately, not only the safety that we normally use regarding no one-on-one and pieces like that. But also we quickly were connecting with individuals from CentraCare on the safety precautions that they would recommend in a COVID pandemic situation. So by 6 o'clock the next morning, not only had we organized for the sites to be up and running, we had the meal programs weren't running within the schools yet for lunch. So we coordinated overnight snacks and figured out meals so that we would make sure that no child would be hungry in the site the next day, as well as all of the programming that went in to quickly overnight adjust supplies, programs from places, wherever they were at, to get them ready to go at the 3 sites. So it was an all hands on deck, and absolutely everybody jumped on board and said, yes, we're going to do this along with our board.
Wow, that's amazing. So what's the response been to the virtual programming?
So we've got 2 sets of programming going. We've got the actual programming in the sites, but then as you just said, we do have the virtual programming too. So within a week, we had launched our virtual programming. So the virtual programming supports the normal 6,500 plus youth that we serve. And so with the virtual programming, again, safety is priority number 1, to ensure that the kids, that there are always at least 2 adults in every group with the kids. You've all heard of the Zoom hackers or whatever they're calling it. So if we're using Zoom, making sure that nobody is touching or infiltrating into our Zoom meetings. But the response has been overwhelming. Amy is on the line. Amy, do you want to talk about some of the response to the virtual programming?
Well, as far as the Zoom meetings are concerned, I know Jerry's been on every one of those Zoom meetings, and we're averaging 10 plus kids per Zoom meeting. This week, we're seeing upwards of 12 to 16 kids per Zoom meeting. The kids are loving it. They're typically doing scavenger hunts during these Zoom meetings, or would you rather games, or show and tell. And the kids are just excited to be able to connect with not only their program manager that they're used to seeing, but all the other kids that they're used to seeing at their Kids Stop site or in school. So it's just really great that we give them that opportunity. Then also, we launched a virtual club, which we're really excited about. You can go on to our bgcmn.org, our website, and go /virtual-club, and you'll find our virtual club online. As of to date, within just a little bit over a week, we have over 21 activities available for our kids that were either curated by our staff, so external content from other Boys and Girls Clubs, but also our staff are creating their own videos and activities. So we have STEM with Angel, where she's doing different experiments with the kids. She's teaching them how to draw. Natalie, our dance artist, is doing dance choreography programming, just really exciting stuff to keep kids active and keep them connected to the club when schools are closed. We're measuring this by monitoring the number of page views on Virtual Club, as well as the number of views on our YouTube videos. And we're getting monthly we will be getting monthly reports for that. We're also looking into other ways of measurement as well. There's something called mobilepermissions.com, where we're looking into that for just, gathering reports and analytics about the success of this program. Our unit directors and coordinators are also making phone calls to connect with youth, make sure that they're doing okay with their homework and their distance learning, making sure that they're taking the necessary steps with Career Start as well. So lots of virtual programming taking place.
And with those Zoom meetings, we are hosting at a minimum of 20 different meetings a week with that. So when Amy's saying 10, 12, 15, 20 kids on a meeting, we're doing at least 20 of those a week. We're partnering and starting to partner with the school districts to help identify the youth that are not engaging or struggling with the online education. And then we're using our academic team to really support that as well. And then also with that virtual programming and the virtual club, keeping some of the programming going that we normally would have, such as our Career Start programming. We've been able to keep the career programming going. We've have businesses that have reached out, and we'd love to connect with more that would like to be part of that and help create videos. and educational pieces that then we can follow up with sessions just with kids as we're continuing to want to make sure that our kids are prepared for careers and life after high school, especially, you know, our seniors that are graduating this year, to make sure that they have the tools in hand to either go on to school or a career or whatever their choice is. So it is academic, it is fun, really focusing on the social, emotional well-being of our youth as well.
Great. Well, one of the other programs that you're working on, you know, and I wish we had more time. We're trying to fit 4 into it, and I think we could talk all day about all the great things that are going on at the Boys and Girls Club. But I want to get to the food distribution and how that's affecting you. So first, are you only serving Boys and Girls Club members?
I'm going to let Deb Nemesis take that one, as she's spearheading our food service program, and she's on the line as well.
Hey guys, I'm Deb, as Mary just said, and actually I'm here with Christine Koselski, our Southside Unit Director, and Chris and I have been working on meal programs at the Boys and Girls Club for the last probably 15 years maybe. So after we got the care sites up and running, Mary and of course our board of director and all of our staff were really concerned about our kids not eating. Obviously, if they need the meal program from the Boys and Girls Club in their normal life, they're really going to need that meal program now with everything that's going on. So on the 30th of March, we started serving 2 meals a week, 2 distributions, Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays, we have 3 days worth of food in the bags with 2 meals each. And then Thursday, we have 4 days worth of food with 2 days each, and we've had a tremendous increase in the demand for meals. Chris, do you mind just talking about that?
Yeah, so our first day, that very first day, we were just doing it at Southside. We were kind of piloting it there, and we had 144 bags go out. Since then, we just keep kind of increasing because the demand is there. So today we actually put out 350 bags between the 3 sites. And like Deb said, each of the bags has 6 total meals in it, and then we'll do 350 again on Thursday. As for the volume of it, today, for instance, at Southside, we had 200 bags went out at Southside, and those bags were gone in 37 minutes. So there is definitely a need with our families.
I guess so. And I know that you're doing some emergency care. You're working with providing childcare for emergency care people. Do you think that program will expand to non-emergency care families?
That's what we are hoping, that we will be allowed to continue on and expand that into the non-emergency. There are so many youth out there that are, especially in this time, in such great need and great demand, that we're really hoping that we will be allowed. Right now, it's limited to where we can only provide it for the emergency, the tier 1, tier 2. So we are hoping that we will be able to reach out and really start supporting and partnering with our school districts to provide that support for the rest of the youth, especially those, you know, that really need us most.
Okay,
very
great.
soon.
We have one last question. So what do you see as the biggest challenge or opportunity for the Boys and Girls Club as you support our community post-COVID-19?
Well, our biggest challenge, of course, is being able to weather this storm and to come through on the backside. So a great opportunity. United Way has always been our largest supporter. So for the community to be able to support United Way, which and then helps organizations such as ours. So that is a huge opportunity and need for us financially to be able to get through this crisis right now. Other opportunities are just businesses that want to partner with us in a variety of different ways. Anything creative, virtual programming is not going to go away. So ways that people could continue to partner with us.
Well, I would say that's the biggest thing. And then we are also making sure that all of our kids have masks if they need them. And then all of our employees and paras. So if anybody knows of anybody who has extra cloth masks, we would be a place where they could donate.
Great, that's fantastic. Well, I really appreciate the
Thank
time
you.
and all the work that you guys are doing here. I know that United Way and CMCF and the whole community is counting on the work that you're doing. So Thank
Well,
you.
we
Thank
thank
you.
you all for your support as well.
Yes,
So thank you.
Daniel, where are we going next?
Well, I want to make sure everyone gets back on the bus. I'm a little concerned about a couple United Way staff members. Did anyone see Larry Olness and Alexis running off to the playground? I think they were headed there with Steve Jewell. Okay, they're on here. It looks like Melinda and Mimi are back too. So we're going to head around St. Cloud and we're going to learn about the work of the Good Samaritan Fund. For those of you that work in nonprofits or are close to programs, you'll know there are a lot of great programs that do very specific work in our community. The county does very specific work. TRICAP does, Catholic Charities, Lutheran Social Services. And there's one place that so many programs turn to when they have no other options. When a family is at the brink of falling off of of having a home, when they need a little help to keep going to work through transportation, the Good Samaritan Fund is flexible, it's responsive, and it's always been there for our United Way resource navigators when we've turned to them. Today we have Bob Covell and Bruce Campbell from the Good Samaritan Fund, who have been doing work for over 20 years in central Minnesota to fill in the gaps when all other programs can't serve someone. So we're going to see a PowerPoint as part of our tour of the Good Samaritan Fund, curated by Bob and Bruce, and then we're going to have more questions by Carol. And we're loading that PowerPoint right now.
Right now? Right now?
Thank you all for remaining seated. Okay, we're turning it over to you, Bob and Bruce.
Okay, Bruce, are you around? Well, I'll get started. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you to the Community Foundation and United Way for this opportunity to talk a little bit about the Good Samaritan Fund. The Good Samaritan Fund was started over 20 years ago by a couple local business people, Dave Nowak and Dave Marquardt. And what they did was provided money for people that had nowhere else to turn. That these people had tried other agencies, and those agencies either were out of money or did not fit their particular criteria that the agency had for assistance. And so hence the Good Samaritan Fund was started. And over the years it has grown. Last fiscal year, we assisted 654 individuals, provided about $155,000 of emergency assistance. And one of the big things about the Good Samaritan Fund, we are associated with the Community Foundation, very strong partners with the Community Foundation. Actually, legally, we are part of the Community Foundation, but we have our own separate board, we have our own separate funding, our own separate accounting. But our funds we raise, which comes from the public, 100% of all donations are used for emergency assistance. We have very low overhead, and that overhead is paid for by our board of directors. So that if you give us $1 donation, that $1 goes for emergency assistance. And we're very, very proud of that. Over the years, we have served a lot of individuals. Our fiscal year is June 30th. In the last 9 months, we have provided assistance to 539 individuals, 238 cases. And some of those people are homeless. Some of those people are victims of domestic abuse. Some of those people have medical needs. We get referrals from many different agencies. Bruce, are you on the line, Bruce? Hello, Bruce. Okay, sorry. I guess it's just me today. So anyway, what we do is we continually raise money because in the history of the Good Samaritan Fund, we have never been able to provide all the assistance that has been requested of us. You know, we're partners with not only the Community Foundation, but we also are partners with Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities processes our checks. So what happens is we get a referral from an agency. Typically, we work with over 40 agencies in the central Minnesota area. Those agencies, you can see them all there. A lot of them come from the counties, and they refer people that they can't help to us. And what we do is we screen these people. Bruce Campbell, he's our case coordinator, and he screens these people. He's like a hound dog. He investigates them to make sure that this is not a scam, to make sure it's legitimate. And if it is legitimate, then it gets put up to a vote by some of our volunteers, of our board members. We have a board of about 15 to 20 people, and 5 to 10 of them will vote on the case. They have to rate the case over a 5 to get funded. You rate it from 1 to 10. 1 means case is not worth funding. 10 means it's the best case you've ever seen. Help these people. And because Bruce does such a great job, we have very few cases that don't get funded by our case committee. So the process is very thorough. It's legitimate. We make sure the money goes to people that need it and deserve it. So for the last 9 months, you can see most of our emergency funding has gone to fund housing. And these are people that either were homeless or were being evicted from their apartments, or that somehow didn't have any place else to go and needed the first month's rent or whatever it happens to be. So most of the funding has gone to housing. Vehicle repairs, what happens there is that the people don't have any money, because most people live from paycheck to paycheck, and their car breaks down, they can't get to work. So we can help those people out if it's a legitimate case. Medical, a big part of the medical is anesthesia. Most people don't know that Medicare and Medicaid don't fund anesthesia. So if people need a rotten tooth pulled, they can't get any assistance for that. So that's a big part of our medical, and there are other medical needs as well for people that don't have insurance and can't get Medicare or Medicaid. We will fund some of those cases. And the other cases are, a lot of them are miscellaneous things. It might be utilities, whatever the case may be, but a lot of it is housing related, and a lot of it is people that have been evicted, abused women, or homeless people. So that is a big part of what we do. Now, a little bit of history. Dave Marquardt was the prior chair, and I took over for Dave about 5 or 6 years ago, at which time we were funding about $80,000, and we have this year committed to fund $180,000. We're not sure we can raise all that money, but we're well on the way to it, except we had a little bit of a problem in February and March with something called COVID-19, but we are committed to spend $15,000 a month now in emergency funding. And we did get a nice little grant from the United Way of $2,600, which we thank you very much. We have already spent it all. We'll provide those details to you sometime in the next month or so, but we are still trying to raise money.
We have a testimonial that we want to share.
My name is Corey Ann Carter, and I worked for United Way as a community navigator for 3 years. Once I started my position as a navigator, I got connected to the Good Samaritan program. Since being connected to the Good Samaritan program, there has not been one situation that I encountered that they were not able to support and help me with. I know if any of my families are struggling or going through a hard time, that I can always count on the Good Samaritan program. My name.
That's great.
So did we have any questions that came up or anything we want to further discuss, Carol or Daniel?
We do have. So I know that Bruce is trying to connect on. So if he does manage to get on, we'll have him join in then, because I'm sure he's got some great stories of people and situations that really kind of hang with you. And I imagine, Bob, that over the years there are those cases that just kind of sing to your heart a little bit about being able to help them. Is there any that you'd want to share right now?
Well, I know Bruce reads a number of notes from people that are so grateful that they've gotten help from us that you almost have tears on the paper that they send over because they were kicked out evicted and nowhere else to go. And we gave them a few $100s and were able to keep them in their apartment or get them a new place. And these people they're almost crying to us in response. And a lot of them want to help us. They want to pay us back. And of course, we don't require that. We don't request that. If they get on their feet down the road and want to do something for us, sure, we'll gladly take their donation. But there are a lot of people that just are so grateful because these people literally have nowhere else to go. And when you have nowhere else to go, I mean, you're at your wit's end. It's not only financial assistance, it's mental health assistance to keep them going. And that's one of the reasons why I personally have decided to be the chair and try and raise us to a level where we can hopefully someday say that, everybody that wanted assistance, we were able to help this year. We've never, ever been able to do that in 20 some years. And as the board chair, that's my goal.
That's fantastic. Do you have any idea the number of people who you've had to turn away because of lack of funding?
I don't know. I know it's a lot. Bruce has those numbers. I don't know. All I know is that Bruce will call me up once in a while or tell me during a meeting that, well, I had to play God again this year, quote unquote God, because we were spending all our money and there were still a lot of cases that were worthy of funding that unfortunately we just couldn't fund.
Great. And my understanding too is that when you do this funding, it's not for people to come back month after month asking. The whole purpose of the Good Samaritan Fund is that every once in a while a person comes along with something that just blocks them and they need that little leg up. And that's really what the Good Samaritan Fund is all about. Would that be accurate?
Yes, we're one-time emergency funding. We don't do repeat business. It's to help people get over an emergency crisis, a one-time situation. And Bruce tracks that stuff if people reapply or try and take advantage of the system, so to speak. It's trying to get people back on their feet, because most people, they live paycheck to paycheck. And half of the people in the country live paycheck to paycheck, and something goes haywire, they have a problem.
Right. And what do you see as the biggest challenge or opportunity for Good Samaritan as they support our community post COVID-19?
Well, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm afraid we're entering the perfect storm here. We've got 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 6 people in this country now out of work. There's a lot of need, 20 to 30 million people out of work. And I'm afraid the need is going to be just extraordinary. It's going to be extraordinary need. And so you have that on the one hand, and then on the other hand is, and for those of you that are listening in, the participants and your donors, I would just like to say thank you so much for your past support. But if you tell me today you can't support us, I understand, because most people with this pandemic have taken a double hit. And by that I mean their retirement fund or their investment has gone down 20 or 30%, and then their business unless you're in the grocery business, the liquor business, or Amazon, you're hurting. Your business took a hit. So not only did your asset base took a hit, but your actual business took a hit. And if you're working, you don't know if you could have a job in 2 months, depending on how long this thing goes. So I'm afraid of the perfect storm where the need is going to be extraordinary and the money is not going to be quite as good as it has been the last 2 or 3 years. So that's my concern.
Mm-hmm. And that sounds very reasonable. I know that too, being that last resort person, you know, so many times you are funding because maybe Catholic Charities has run out of money or other agencies have run out of money, and then they'll contact you to see if you can help in those situations. And you're going to get even more and more inquiries on those kinds of unique situations as well. Now we're hoping that there'll be a time at the end for more questions, and we'll hope that Bruce is able to be on and maybe he can share a story or two at that point then. So thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you very much also. Appreciate it.
Daniel, where are we going?
Okay, we're going to head to Lake George. It's important for us to go and see a very responsive organization, probably the definition of innovation in our community, which is Neighbors to Friends. In fact, they received the Innovation Award from the Greater St. Cloud Development Corps last year for their incredible new program called Shower the People. A lot of you have probably heard of it, but you may not have heard of all the other things that they've already been doing in the community and what they're doing to respond right now to people experiencing homelessness. As we queue up the video, I want to say thank you so much, Bob, for sharing from your heart and for sharing all the time you do with the Good Samaritan Fund. The Good Samaritan Fund truly is the emergency fund for all the emergency social workers out there. They turn to you when they can't find a way to help someone, and we need you there. Thank you so much. If you're able to see the polls, please participate in them. We'll try and share the results at the end. Hopefully you are seeing the answers emerge from the discussions and the videos. And when we're ready, we're going to see now a video from Neighbors to Friends, followed by a Q&A with their founders, Nancy Dyson and her partner, Jason.
The 12th package today.
At Kip's Laundry in St. Cloud.
Feels good. Oh, they're dry.
There's nothing like clean clothes.
Yeah, definitely.
Even better, today everyone here gets it done for free.
It's a start and it's helpful.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it.
On the first, third, and sometimes fifth Tuesday of every month, those in need are able to stop here and do their laundry for free.
Expanded from just people who were experiencing homelessness to people who were living on the margins.
Nancy Dyson realized a need finding people washing clothes in fountains at Lake George and St. Cloud. Through donations with her nonprofit Neighbors to Friends, she's able to make this happen. The recent study showed the number of homeless in central Minnesota jumped 20% from the last count several years ago.
One thing led to another, and
through free laundry, Nancy also noticed some haven't taken showers in days, sometimes weeks. Partnering with her husband, Jason.
The idea is, somebody comes in here, they have this space for half an hour.
They bought this bus, building a shower inside to park and provide free showers. Jason understands the need, as he was homeless years ago.
I know exactly what it's like to be on the street.
Both Jason and Nancy know a free load of laundry or shower won't solve this issue completely, but it can maybe make someone's day just a little bit easier.
I'm personally doing it because I was there. I know how bad it sucks, and now I have the opportunity and the ability to do something about it.
And this bus will officially launch later this week. Nancy and Jason told me they plan to make their first stop at Lake George within St. Cloud. They also plan to make other stops throughout the St. Cloud area, also the I-94 corridor to Maple Grove. In Sauk Rapids, Alex Hagan, KARE 11 News. At Kip's Laundry in St. Cloud.
Feels good.
Okay. Thank you so much for that video. United Way was very happy to make our very first Relief Fund grant to rapidly respond to the call from neighbors to friends as they are trying to isolate individuals who are at the highest risk of health issues during this time. And we're lucky to have Jason and Nancy with us and learn about their continued efforts with a couple questions from Carol. Carol, you're on mute.
There we go. Yes, thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Jason and Nancy, for joining us today and telling us about your program and what you're accomplishing. Can you tell us a little bit about how people experience homelessness have been affected by this crisis?
I think one of the biggest things that has happened is as we've been tightening the closures in our area, that's eliminated a lot of places for our homeless friends to hang out during the day. For example, one of the biggest places that people go to is the library. And once that shut down, that eliminated a place for people not only to use a restroom, to wash their hands, but also to be connected to the rest of the world through the internet. Most people who are on the streets have phones, but they're not necessarily hooked to the internet, and they're not always paid for. So sometimes people have phones that they owe their bill and they can't use it. So they use the library to connect with the rest of the world. We've actually encountered a few people on the streets in the last few weeks who didn't know what was going on, who had heard that there was some kind of spread of some kind of disease, but they didn't really know what was happening. So that was one of the biggest things that affected the homeless. But as other things have shut down, restaurants,
community meals,
they were really active up until when the COVID hit, but there wasn't a way for people to gather to do community meals. So food insecurity has been another huge part of the struggle for people that are on the streets right now.
So what are you doing differently to help and serve the people experiencing homelessness?
Yeah, so our two programs that were just highlighted in that reel are both not able to be up and running right now. Of course, our laundry program gathers about 100 people in 2 different laundromats on a given Tuesday, and of course, we can't do that now, so we had to figure out another way that we could help folks. So right now, that money that was going to the machines in those 2 laundromats are now going into little baggies with 2 little Tide Pods, and those are getting delivered to our friends who are now being emergency housed in our local hotels. And we're doing that once a week. And we just figured out today, we just went and got another $250 worth of quarters, that it's about the same amount of money that we're using for that program that we were for Laundry Love. That's going to grow, of course, because right now the population that's not being served in the hotels is still greater than the people there. So there's going to be a lot more people that are going to need to be brought indoors. So that's one way that we're doing our program. The shower truck can't be up and running either. Up until recently, it's just been too cold. We can't run it when it's below freezing. But right now we're very concerned about the safety of having people come in and use a shower that can't be necessarily cleaned the way that I would want it to be cleaned. We just don't know the nature of this disease. And so we want to be very, very careful, and we only want to offer things that are very safe to our friends. So that has changed as well. But as you mentioned, we've got this wonderful grant from United Way to help house people in hotels, and we're partnering with other agencies in town. One is our good friends from Homeless Helping Homeless, and they've helped to get, I think we're up to 40 some.
I think we're at 48 people that are either housed in motels or in other supportive housing.
Yeah, and yeah, and that is obviously a way to get people the showers that they need and a way to stay clean. These are folks who are living under bridges, in the parking garages.
Yeah, every person that is in a motel now they were considered unhoused. They weren't in a shelter. They weren't staying at a friend's. They were either in a tent outside, sleeping under a bridge, or sleeping in their car.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there a story about someone that you were able to help that's had significant meaning to you that you could share?
Well, gosh, there's been over the years that we've done this, there's been many stories, a couple of them pre-COVID, and then we've got one post-COVID. The way that we started this shower truck was one of our friends who was coming to Laundry Love. We ran into her in a parking lot at Walmart, I think it was, and she came up to us and she started, this was in the summer, 2 summers ago, she came walking up to us, and I went to give her a hug and she backed away from me and said, you know, I'd give you a hug, but I haven't had a shower in a couple of weeks, and I'm just asking, do you please know somewhere that I can go to get clean? And we just didn't have an answer for her. So that's what kind of precipitated this shower truck thing. This one particular woman who is about my age and was just embarrassed. She didn't want to be close to anyone because she knew she hadn't showered and was embarrassed, and she was teary-eyed, and so that particular incident will never leave me. That was very powerful that would happen in our community in this day and age. But something good came out of it, so that was a good thing. But gosh, the number of people who have come up to us and just thanked us for being there for them. And it wasn't even so much about the quarters that they got or the meal that we serve at Laundry Love. It's, in fact, we were just talking about this one today. Our friend Jen came up to us one day and said, you know, I just want to thank you guys. And I thought right away she was going to say thank you for the food or thank you for the laundry. But she said, I just am so appreciative of having a place to go where we don't get the look. And I said, what do you mean the look? And she said, you know, the look that you get when people don't want you around. And that's another one that will stick with me for a long time. We could go on and on with those kinds of things. It's always been about the relationship and about the place that we try to provide for people. Jason has a good way of saying that we're the
yeah, we give people their dignity and respect back.
And that's what's really all about. You know, we use Laundry Love and we use the shower truck and all of the places that we go. Right now we're down at Lake George. We personally are there 3 days a week. Our other friends are there for the other 4 days a week, giving food away to our friends who are still on the street. All of those things are all about being there for folks who have been forgotten by the rest of society, who are living on the margins, who are disdained, who are given the look. And it's always been about that. We're glad that we can also get people clean in the process, but it's always been really about the relationship.
So what do you think is going to be your biggest challenge or opportunity when we get through COVID-19 for your nonprofit?
Yeah, well, I really would echo what Bob was saying about, I think the need, we were both talking about how the need is going to be far greater, I think, when this is all said and done, because of the economic realities that our country is facing. So there are going to be more people that fall into poverty, that fall into homelessness. So I think that need is going to be huge. Trying to find the opportunity and the sunny side in that. We were talking about how a bright light has been shining in all the areas in our community and in our nation where we're falling short, right? Whether it's food insecurity or housing, we can't ignore it anymore. It's front and center. It's what's driving a lot of the changes that we're making in the country right now. So if there was an opportunity, it would be that hopefully when this is over, that bright light will still be sort of shining in those areas, and that we can start addressing some of the issues. One of the other areas that we're passionate about is housing, of course. And we've got a couple of tiny homes in the works. Those had to be put on hold for the reasons that we're all aware of. But once this is done, we're hoping that those houses can be completed and moved into into our little neighborhood. I don't know if you can see in the back, we live in a tiny house, and when the wind was blowing, I don't know if you saw us, we were kind of shaking. But so we really want to be able to house our friends here in our neighborhood in tiny homes too. So that's another opportunity that I hope will come to fruition.
Wow, that's amazing. You're doing wonderful work, and we are lucky to have you in our community supporting people. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nancy and Jason. Please run for something. You have my vote. You both are amazing. So often at United Way, when we talk about the funds that we are giving to individual organizations like this who are doing frontline, responsive, direct service work, people ask, but what about the whole community solution? What about the systemic issues? And I want to let you know that Nancy and Jason attend. They're very active. They look at a policy level. They're involved in every group in town, and they are such great advocates for the need in our community. And I just feel so fortunate for us at United Way and the Community Foundation to support your efforts. And best of luck. Please keep at it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're so lucky that we got to showcase 2 of the real grassroots new organizations in our community who are responding to emerging needs. Now we're going to also look at Catholic Charities, which is the first place anyone turns to when they're in need of food or when they're in need of emergency services. Catholic Charities has been serving central Minnesota for decades. I talked to their grant manager the other day, and they had a $17,000 increase in the cost of their food shelf. So I'm so happy that Central Minnesota Community Foundation was able to award one of their first grants to the food shelf. They need our support now more than ever, as people that are hungry need our support now more than ever. With that, we're headed down Roosevelt Road. Hopefully we've arrived now at Catholic Charities Emergency Services. And we're gonna see I'm not sure if it's a PowerPoint or a video from Catholic Charities, and then we're gonna have a Q&A with Sue Hanks, who does run the food shelf and emergency services there.
Sue, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so we're not doing the audio. Am I going to do the PowerPoint?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Then we'll have questions for you.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thanks for having us. Before the PowerPoint goes too far, I am so overwhelmed and humbled by all of these partners. The first part of this video will rattle through hopefully quickly, and it kind of talks about what our food shelf model is pre-COVID. And we're a full choice model. We average 2,025 households a month, literally 6,000 to 500 individuals each month. We have seen our senior populations and our homeless populations growing. Those numbers continue to increase. We are working and have now spent a couple of years with a multi-pass that is for multiple purposes, helping those that may be homeless, those that are living in hotels, or not able to transport food. That allows a client to access the food shelf once a week, 4 times a month, allowing them to not have to carry so much. We have a partnership with our senior dining program, and we provide frozen meals to our eligible seniors on our Senior Food Outreach Day. Last November was really exciting. It feels like forever ago. We became Super Shelf certified, and this is a program I'll talk a little more about. It's Healthy Choices, Healthy Options. We are the second largest food rescue in the state of Minnesota. That's the truck that's going around to all local restaurants, grocery stores to pick up food rescue. Just at a glance, we're talking about over 2 million pounds of food was distributed last year. That's about 978, almost 1,000 mobile shelf serves. We have 8 sites locally that we go to. We worked with 5,420 unduplicated households. We're talking about 78,000 plus of duplicated individuals served last year. Our first-time users, households, was over 1,000. We had almost 2,500 individuals that used us for a first time ever last year. We can't run without volunteers, and that's what makes it for us. We have well over 1,000 volunteers and about 41,000 hours that is utilized. Super Shelf, we get really excited. It just hasn't been a focus this last couple months. It's to transform food shelves, to create welcome environments and access to appealing, healthy food. It was founded in a partnership with a number of, you'll see on the PowerPoint, consultants that work with us on the Super Shelf. The mission, part of what it does, whoops, go ahead. We can go to the next slide. Our goal is to increase the quantity and accessibility and variety for healthy options. We've refigured the layout of the food shelf, giving prominence to fruits and vegetables and less processed kinds of foods. We changed the food categories to encourage selection of healthier options. We do still have snacks and treats though. Showcasing and promoting healthier foods by spotlighting them. We try to provide recipes or samples, and developing policy to sustain long-term practices and protect our supply and inventory, which is a challenge today. On Friday afternoon, March 13th, our regular food shelf distribution ended at noon. It was at that point I gathered all our staff right before lunch and said, life is going to be different. It's going to look different. And we knew as of that time, we had to make changes. So literally Friday that afternoon, we started arranging, identifying inventory, and starting to do pre-packed bags and boxes for distribution the following week. So we have moved to a pre-packed food relief serve, and we're serving people on Wednesdays. We do a mass distribution on Wednesdays from 3 to 7 and Fridays 9 to noon. We're also doing it's not in this PowerPoint, we have also added our senior outreach day, which is the second and fourth Tuesday of the month from 1 to 3, with our first one being April 28th, that our seniors can then come and get their pre-packed serve. If people are going to need additional serves, they can contact us. This slide just talks about what I just said, is the seniors over 60 are coming to get their pre-packed serve. But along with that is the partnership I mentioned earlier with our senior dining program. So our seniors are able to come and get pre-packed frozen meals along with their food shelf serve. Our distribution, a lot of people will call and say, how are you doing this? I can't come in, there's too many people, I don't want to wait inside. Our distribution is provided through a walk-up service model. There's no appointment needed. We do have signs, and we ask people to do social distancing, and we ask that they stay 6 foot apart while on our premises, and we request that they approach the table one person at a time. Our mobile food shelf, which has always been in place, has continued to go out and is scheduled doing a pre-packed monthly food relief serve as well. People ask about donations. The picture shows some of the assembly line that staff are working on with packing many pre-served serves. We're accepting donations during limited hours, and we do a drop-off model on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays between 12:30 and 1:30. We, of course, work with anybody that has a donation that is outside of those hours. We just need to make appointments and have it available, because we also need to have staff there from a safety aspect, accepting and weighing the donations. That's why it talks about not leaving. This is, again, the picture shows some of the setup for assembling boxes. And again, not leaving the donation outside, because we do need to collect it to ensure food safety and do our inventory tracking. We're not able to accept clothing and household donations. Many of you know that that's a part of our program right now. That is on hold. And we are not able to have any of our emergency services volunteers in at this time. That will be one of my biggest challenges down the road. Just some information, March of this year, we did last month, had over 104,000 pounds of food to over 1,500 households. There were 105 new households. That's 293 new individuals just last month. We've already seen that doubling and increasing. From March 17th through the 31st, we saw 683 households that we were serving within that. The April 1 to April 9, shows 363 households served. If you watch, that's only 3 distribution days with those numbers. So we're over 1,000. And this is data from over a week ago. So we've already that's increased since then. One of the things we're seeing is our mobile food shelf is doubling. I think, is there a next slide? Yeah, it wasn't on there. Our mobile food shelf serves are literally doubling. I asked to have this slide increased. It was mentioned earlier about masks. And as you can imagine, throughout Catholic Charities and their numerous programs with transitional living and shared living situations, our quilters have just stepped up. This is an incredible group of women that have been sewing their hearts out and have to date donated over 500 masks that are being utilized for staff and clients in our group homes. I think that's, emergency financial is still in place, and we have that set up that our emergency financial coordinator can be contacted, and she will triage requests and we will meet those needs, which has been happening. We're seeing the most in medication needs and some car repair kinds of things. The mission, you can read that, that we're here to promote family life, enhance human dignity, and quality services to all. I just would wrap it up again with my concept of being incredibly humbled or overwhelmed by all the partners that spoke before me and working together with everyone. And, we often, Catholic Charity uses this statement of together, we create a different tomorrow. And I think you're seeing that today by the community outreach. It's our community that really is working together.
So well said, Sue. You're absolutely right. You answered a lot of my questions already, and you talked a little bit about the challenges that Catholic Charities is experiencing. But if you had to identify the biggest challenge or opportunity that you see as you support the community after COVID-19, when we get back to quote normal, what do you think that is?
I think that some of it's been addressed by others. I participate on the governor's task force for food access and getting information that we can anticipate 2 to 3 times the increase. And I've shared with some the analogy of the tsunami after the storm. And I am really challenged by what's to come. When we talk about 2,000 to 2,500 households a month right now, how do we even manage 4,000 to 6,000? What does that look like? Will it really be that? How do we gear up for that financially and staffing and volunteers? So probably it leads me to that, and we can do it. And there's energy and excitement and staff that are incredibly gifted and creative. Like, we're going to tackle this. I think that our volunteers will be a challenge. And that's one of the hardest things right now, because we live and breathe on our volunteers and our donors that are out there, the financial challenge and the volunteer needs. People are itching to come in and we can't do it right now. That's going to be a huge need down the road for us, is we're going to need our volunteers, and we're going to need a lot of new volunteers. And I think the opportunity for us is, it's been really interesting to look through things with a new lens right now and kind of figure out how could we do this different and really prioritize what is important. And I just really heard very strongly with Nancy and Jason talking about the dignity and respect. And to me, that's the priority to bring back, and that we're giving dignity and respect to those that need it. We're having people come in that never, ever imagined needing our services, and we're there. I hope that stigma goes away and people know that our community is there to help us. The stories I would share and all the thank yous and the God bless yous that we get, I want all of you to hear that, because it's all of us that should be thanked for that, because people really do appreciate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sue, for telling us about what you are doing and accomplishing at Catholic Charities. I know that it's been
I gotta mention, I'm really excited. We're moving forward also because of one of the grants we just got, is we're going to roll out a food delivery service. that will look different than your grocery stores, but real similar. And that is happening because of some dollars recently donated and some outreach in the community, United Way connecting us with some volunteers, some local companies in this community to help with delivery. So that's going to roll out within the end of the week and next week also. So that was brand new today.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I want to say thank you to every single person who spent this last 70 minutes with us. I'm so thankful for our partnership with the Community Foundation, being able to do this for 3 years and being able to respond to where we're as a community right now and make this virtual. Special shout out to the United Way staff and the Community Foundation staff that made this technologically mainly a success and definitely a success for our hearts. I do want to say something about how special Central Minnesota is. Our emergency childcare right now is unparalleled in the state. At United Way Partners for Student Success, we are a part of a statewide collaboration. We talked to the children's cabinet with the governor, and that has been incredibly challenging to administer through admins and paras. And because the Boys and Girls Club stepped up, our superintendents told us that it has been no stress for them at all. In fact, one of them described that it was a godsend. I also want to shout out the work that Sue has been doing for years for Catholic Charities. I remember every time when we talked about the crisis of homelessness in our community, and we talked about how sad it is that youth and teens are homeless, Sue would always say yes. But you know what? Everyone was a child someday, and almost everyone has a family member out there somewhere who's still worrying about them. Thank you to the responsiveness that Neighbors to Friends is doing, and thank you to the Good Samaritan Fund for helping all the other agencies when they can't find a solution. We want to encourage you to give. We want to encourage you to share with your friends and families if they are in a fortunate position to give as well. We're so lucky at United Way and the Community Foundation to see all the great people doing the work. And we encourage you to give to these programs. We also want you to know if you give to United Way or the Community Foundation right now, there is no admin fees. 100% of our fundraising goes for COVID relief efforts. We want to support those in need. We want to support people doing the great work. And we're thankful for all of you that have already given. I'm so happy to see all of you tonight. And I'll throw it to Carol so she can take us home.
Absolutely. I feel exactly the same, Daniel. We are very fortunate to live here with all of you. A couple of things. We are planning on doing the bus tour again. Every couple of weeks, we are going to be pulling forward nonprofits, giving our donors an opportunity to learn about how they can be involved. And whether it's financial support, volunteer support, again, we know that we all need to keep working together to be able to survive this and to come out on the other side even stronger. If you want to share this with other people, we have recorded it. It will be posted with United Way and also with CMCF. So be sure to share that out with people who you know that might be interested and just couldn't make this hour slot as well. And then again, in the chat, we do have the information on the 4 nonprofits that you heard about today. So we encourage you to go to those sites and consider giving to them. We also have our response and relief funds if you want to help us to continue to look out across the region to figure out what needs are being addressed. So thank you so much for your part in helping us to share this story, for helping us to work together to be a community, because that's what it's all about. We caring for each other is what community is. So thank you. Okay.
Careful on the last step there.